Vikes Now, Dustin Baker, the Monday edition, grading the free agent acquisitions to date. That is the newcomers. I know they've extended dudes like Sean Mannion. Not getting into those, just talking about the new people. And I'm going to start from worst and go all the way up to the best. By my count, there are 6 signings. If I forgot any, I'm sure you'll let me know. First one I have that comes in with a C is Austin Schlottman, a offensive lineman from the Denver Broncos. He had a 44.3 grade from PFF last year. However, he only played 8% of snaps with Denver, so it's really not that big of a sample size. But with that 8% of snaps, I have no idea if he is considered the solution at right guard or center per se. Probably not. He's probably just a depth person or a proverbial camp body. So I think it is somewhat unfair to say like, oh yeah, this is the signing that's going to fix it. So I think C is fair because we have no clue what he's going to be. I still expect the team to find an offensive line oriented solution once and for all. Last year they ranked 27th in pass protection per PFF, and that's pretty much where they rank every year inside of the Zimmer regime, except for 2017. You remember what happened then? They went to the NFC Championship. So pass protection needs to improve. I don't think Schlottman is the answer, so I'm giving him a C transaction. The next, they get better, I promise. The C isn't doomsday and doom and gloom. I don't do a lot of doom and gloom, if you haven't gathered that from my writings or this show. Next is Johnny Munt, a tight end coming over with O'Connell from the Rams. Last season, he played 27% of snaps, so kind of in that TE2, TE3 territory. And I'm going to give this one a B-. There's some uncertainty there where I don't know if he's going to be the TE2. We have to wait till the draft pans out and probably the rest of free agency and see a little bit of training camp. But he had a 64.7 Pro Football Focus grade, which is pretty decent. Tyler Conklin, he ain't coming back. He's going to the Jets. Good luck. He'll probably have the Eric Decker voodoo there. Remember Decker, how well he did with Peyton Manning and then went elsewhere and kaput. But he's a gopher. It's where I went to school. Love Decker. Munt is a B- because I don't know if he is the surefire TE2. It'd be kind of cool if he was, but we're finally going to get to showcase Irv Smith after a 1-year hiatus. It was always hilarious to me in a very naughty way that during that preseason game last year that was so awful against the Chiefs when the offense couldn't do anything, which would turn out to be a precursor to some stretches of 2021 regular season. The one bright spot in that game was Irv Smith, and he gave an interview, I think in the third quarter of that game, that was awesome, and he's ready to go. And then like 2 days later, torn meniscus, he's out for the year or whatever. So not fun, but Munt, let's go with a B- with the upside of potentially being the TE2. We just can't predict this current regime because they don't have a track record. Now, if this was a Zimmer signing, Munt, he probably would be the TE2. But with these guys, you don't know. The next one, number 3 on the list, is Chandan Sullivan. He gets a solid B. He's a defection from the Green Bay Packers. Had 2 of those last week. We're going to get to the other guy in about 5 minutes. But Sullivan gets a B from me. The thing I like about his candidacy with these Vikings is that he played a lot of football, a lot of defensive snaps with the Packers. Last season, he played 77% of the time, I think mostly in the slot. And that's probably what he'll fill with these Vikings is replacing the outgoing Mackenzie Alexander, insert Chandan Sullivan. So he gets a B grade from me. He's not that good, let's just say that, or at least not to date. He is entering the physical prime of his career, so perhaps this regime, this 3-4 defense, we can squeeze something out of him that's better than 55 PFF grade. But that remains to be seen. So that's why I can't even sniff any type of A or A-, because it was cool to see them do something at cornerback. What were we at, 3 weeks in terms of free agency, where it was Dantzler, and that's it. That's all there was. It was Cameron Dantzler, and after that it was Harrison Hand, Chris Boyd, and Perry Nickerson. And if that would have been any semblance of what we rolled into September with, you might as well put a fork in it, because that's not going to get it done in a pass-happy NFL. Sullivan doesn't fix it, but it shows they care, and they're getting there towards a solution. We talked about the last episode, how it's always neat when a Packer is a turncoat, comes to the Vikings. There's so many of them over the years that say, the hell with Wisconsin, I'm coming across the border. So because he'll actually start probably in the slot position, he is at an age where he could actually have his best season. I give Chandan Sullivan a B. The next one is Harrison Phillips. Now, the potential that he has inside the Vikings 3-4 defense right there, probably in the middle, is tremendous. The only reason, here's what I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him a B plus on Harrison Phillips. I think he's 3 years, $19.5 million contract. My hesitation on his addition to the team isn't anything to do with him. It's they had a marvelous defensive tackle, nose tackle in Michael Pierce. It's just that he didn't play very much. So I was disappointed that the Pierce experiment didn't work out, because when he played, he was a disruptor, and he was phenomenal. So being the Vikings dude that I am, I wanted to see more of that. And Pierce was such a good dude that I was like, do we really have to give up on him? Evidently we did. Too injury prone. You've heard Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah talk about value. Every time he's in front of a microphone, he gives a speech about value, or at least a couple sentences. And Michael Pierce evidently was not a good value, because he always got hurt, or he opted out for COVID in 2020. So he wasn't available. However, on the other hand, Harrison Phillips is. He had a 77.4 Pro Football Focus grade last season. The Bills organization loved him. The fans loved him. So we're getting a good dude in the middle of the upfront part of the defense. He played 55% of snaps in 2021 with the Bills. So he's got the resume for this, and I give it a B plus. I'll probably be chilling with you guys in 7 months talking about how a B plus was way too low for Phillips. Well, let's hope that's the case. But he gets, by no fault of his own, he doesn't get quite the score that the next two dudes get, because I thought Michael Pierce was a fantastic talent that we already had and was ready to blossom if he could just be healthy. And a lot of that health thing, if you want to pivot to the what heck could have been, was I think they rushed him back. They tried to get him on the field too fast. It was a torn tricep, bicep, something like that. And then he came back, looked okay, got hurt. And I will always lament what Pierce could have been in this purple defense. And now he went to go play for a different purple defense in the Baltimore Ravens. So that's 4 dudes. Schlotman, C. Munt, B-, Sullivan, B. Phillips, B+. Now let's get to the main event, or the main events plural. First one is Darius Smith, who gets an A-. If we would have recorded this show a week ago, I would have said A, because of the enthusiasm, the excitement that a big-name free agent, Packer no less, signed with the Vikings. But Za'Darius gets an A- from me. The last time he played a full season was 2020. He was a Viking terrorist. He wreaked havoc against the Vikings on several occasions. And he had a 76.7 PFF grade in 2020. He didn't play hardly at all last year. He came back for the playoff loss against the Packers, which was marvelous. They always lose in the playoffs most of the time to the 49ers, so tough cookies. But the Za'Darius minus part of the A- grade is because he's a gamble. I talked about on our second show, when we talked about the impact of him joining, is that between Danielle Hunter and Darius Smith, in the last 2 seasons, those men combined have missed 64% of football games. So we're going to trot out these 2 Herculean edge rushers with the hope, H-O-P-E, that they're going to be healthy. And that is a big gamble for a roster last year that wasn't that deep. It doesn't look like it's going to be quite as deep this year unless they have a fabulous draft and then sign more free agents. So it's an A-, not because he did anything wrong, but he was hurt last year. Hunter was hurt last year, and we're going to strut into this thing with 2 quasi-injury prone dudes, especially from the last 2 seasons, and hope for the best. Conversely, when Smith signed, the deal was 3 years, $42 million, and that was kind of walked back in the sense that when the contract came out, it's an extraordinarily team-friendly deal for the Vikings, so we'll take it. It's a prove-it deal for a guy that probably will prove it, and I give it an A-, and in terms of upside, it's whatever is beyond an A+, because the purest forms of Hunter and Za'Darius on Sunday afternoons, Thursday nights, Sunday nights, and Monday nights can be absolutely phenomenal if they're healthy. So that is the caveat. The only reason the A- is assigned to Za'Darius is, will he play? all 17 games, maybe 14 of them. Let's hope so. And the same forecast is there for Hunter. And wouldn't you know it, they play the same position, opposite edges, bada bing. Now here is going to be your favorite addition, and he is the only player to get an A. Maybe next week they'll have signed new dudes and we can update this and do an episode on it. But it is Jordan Hicks. 2 years, $10 million, a linebacker who does not miss football games, who had a 64.4 Pro Football Focus score last year. Played 97% of the snaps. I think the year before was 92, and it was 100% a couple years ago, his first year with the Cardinals. And they simply had too much of a crowded room in Arizona for him to continue employment in the desert, because they've drafted 2 linebackers, big-name linebackers, in successive drafts that Hicks, evidently, tackling machine, odd man out. We'll take him because we don't know the immediate future of Anthony Barr. We can probably predict that it won't be much. He's probably going to actually go out and secure a free agent contract. Hopefully, for his sake, he can win elsewhere, and Barr's tenure with the Vikings is likely kaput. But you need somebody there. And in this 3-4 defense, there should be 2 off-ball linebackers that, in theory, should be tackling machines, and you already have it in Kendricks, even though he had a down year in 2021. Hopefully he rumbles back with authority and performs like Kendricks from 2020 or 2019 when he really, really rose to stardom. But Hicks was considered the heart by some of the Cardinals' defense, and you're going to see a lot of this guy. He is not a situational player. He is smack dab in the middle of the Cardinals' defense. That's what he was with the Cardinals' defense, and presumably now, in Ed Donatell's scheme, that's what he'll do for the Vikings. So based on the company line from Kwesi about value, there is no better value so far, perhaps even in free agency on the whole, in the world than Hicks. He is going to be a dynamic voice for defensive leadership. He's going to be a playmaker, get the tackles. He sacks quarterbacks. He forces fumbles. He's all over the damn place. So Hicks is my, favorite and highest graded free agent of this offseason. And mark my words, you will see a lot of him. He doesn't come off the field. And he's like Barr in that sense, where he's always on the field when he's healthy. And Hicks doesn't have those injury concerns that Barr did. And that's probably why Barr won't play for the 22 Vikings and Hicks will. That's it. So Schlottman C, Munt B-, Chandan Sullivan B, Harrison Phillips B+, Darius Smith A-, and Jordan Hicks an A. And I don't even know. I don't think A+s are real, but that's how high I am on Hicks joining the middle of the Vikings defense. Tomorrow I'll be back about the same time frame. Not sure what we'll discuss, but I'll come up with it seemingly on the fly. And that's all we got. Skol, baby.